Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome to Heretical Reformation. So I've decided that I'm gonna just do a whatever comes out. I wanted to read for something. I was not feeling particularly inspired, but maybe the cards will have something interesting to say for all of us. If you are new here, welcome, and I appreciate your attention. If you're returning, then welcome back, and I also am grateful for your return attention. A couple of quick things before we get started. Please keep in mind that readings can be very subjective in some ways. Apply common sense. Don't make anything fit if it really doesn't seem to. Chances are good if you found this, there's going to be some kind of message in here for you, but there may not be. Who knows? And please also bear with me as I am only recently getting back into reading, so I may not be as smooth as a lot of the other readers on YouTube, but that will change. Anyway, so tonight we are using two decks. We've got the Neon Tarot, which is one of my personal favorites, and we've got Hattie Thorne's Cybertarot. This one is great. It's available on Etsy, and the creator, Hattie Thorne, is an absolute sweetheart. I'll throw a link to her store in the description, but she's great. So we're going to pull cards from the Neon Tarot, and we'll use the Cybertarot for clarifications as necessary. And this is just going to be a very simple whatever comes out. So let's take 20 seconds. If you can, close your eyes. If you're driving, handling a small child, operating heavy machinery, or chopping vegetables, please don't close your eyes. But let's just take 20 seconds to take some deep breaths and just kind of breathe out the day and let it go, and just give yourself a little split second of peace, and then we'll get started. All right, you are now safe to resume chopping vegetables. So I didn't pre-shuffle these, so we'll get on a couple of quick shuffles and we'll see what there is to see. In the meantime, I'm hoping that you all had a good day. I am certainly glad that it's Wednesday. I wish it was Friday, but I think most of us do. It has been an exceedingly long week already. All right, let us see what the universe or spirit or God or Gaia or seven-dimensional alien entities or whatever personal divinity you ascribe to. Let's see what they have to say. I'm going to do one more shuffle. All right, let's see what we got here. What do you have to say to us, universe? Got a joke, got a warning, statement. Any messages? Okay. That's a lot of messages. I'm actually just going to keep this one. There we go. Death. All right, we'll leave that here. I'll just hold this up so you guys can see it. All right, what else we got? Additional messages, please. So we're going to pull 7 cards total, by the way. So I'll try and keep it quick and get into it, but additional messages. I'm going to take this. The Hermit. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. I was just talking to a friend of mine about that particular card. All right. What else we got? What else do we have for the collective, for my people, for your people, for all the people? Anything else, or was this just going to be a 2-card reading? I don't know about you guys. I don't know if any of you read, but sometimes I really feel like the cards are just messing with you, like when you're trying to sit and be serious about something, and they're just, yeah, there we go. Ace of Pentacles. Okay, oops, sorry, here you go. I'll leave these here. All right, so let's start looking at this. So first card we pulled was Death. I've been seeing this a lot in the last couple of weeks, mostly in relationship readings, but also in a couple of weeklies and monthlies too. It looks like this reading is going to be talking about a very recent change or transformation or loss. The Death card can symbolize a lot of things, but primarily it's a card of transformation, kind of breaking yourself down and building yourself up. Death is extremely final. It's inevitable. It's not really a change that you can resist, but it doesn't always have to be a massive change. It can be a very small change that winds up having a significant impact on your life. All right, let's pull a couple more and then we'll start putting all this together. 4 more cards. What else we got, Spirit? Or Divine, or Gaia, or 7-dimensional entities. Maybe someone's cat wants to give us some psychic intuition. Well, it's hard to get answers today, huh? What else we got? There we go. Looks like the Page of Wands. This might be looking like a love reading, but we'll see. We'll see. All right, 3 more. So we've got Death in the immediate past. We've got the Hermit in the present. So we're going to go with the Hermit representing you, or the subject on your mind, or whatever the case may be. The Hermit is kind of interesting coming out after Death, because the Hermit also refers to not necessarily change, but self-discovery. You know, deciding to turn your back on the world and sort of take a journey into your own shadows and, you know, see what's there. In pretty much every deck, the Hermit is always holding a light. And if you look very closely, that light is actually the light from the Star card. So you can kind of say that the Hermit is carrying his dreams, his hopes, his soul, if that kind of resonates with you. And he's turning his back on everything. And the Hermit, typically when you see him like in some of the other decks, even the Rider-Waite deck, you can see he's going somewhere. What a lot of people don't know is the Hermit is actually journeying towards the moon. The moon card is usually depicted as having 2 pillars, which is representative of a gateway to the underworld. Some really interesting myths about that. I'm not going to waste people's time with it now. But I'm seeing that there's a recent transformation that really forced you to go inside yourself, or maybe just to walk away from stuff. Maybe to walk away from situations in life. Maybe people. Yes. Okay. All right. So that was the Ten of Pentacles. I don't normally take reversals unless they are shouted at me. So just keep that in mind. We're going to leave that upright. All right, we'll pull two more. So, yeah, it looks like there's something that happened, and a lot of you have just said, you know what? I'm going to take my magic lamp with my star, with my light, with my soul, and I'm going to go spend some time alone communing. Turn your back on people, walk away from maybe toxic relationships, or, I don't know, problems in the family, maybe a bad job, you know, whatever. Life is complex, right? So who knows? And with the Ace of Pentacles there, that is actually representative of hidden influences, right? So what drove the Hermit to go hermiting? Well, we know that in their past was the Death card. What was that death about? Looks like it had something to do with the new beginning. Some kind of offer. A lot of readers describe the aces in very hard and fast terms. Oh, this is definitely a this or that. And they're certainly not wrong. Yeah, it's going to be this one. And we've got the Ten of Swords. Everyone's least favorite card in the deck. Certainly one of my least favorite cards in the deck. All right. And we're going to pull one more for the final. Yeah, so I think what some of you don't see is this transformation and this hermiting and this kind of forced solo time, because the Hermit's not lonely, right? The Hermit is in voluntary solitude. But it was necessary. It was necessary for you to begin laying a foundation. That's what I think of the aces as. I think of them as sort of the creative force behind the suit. So Pentacles is a suit of family, homes, finances, material things, you know, stuff of the 3D world, but also solid relationships, right? Large families, circles of friends, close coworkers, definitely a card of wealth, abundance, you know, usually material, but not necessarily when you mix it with other cards. But the aces to me are unrealized potential, right? So say that, oh, this is definitely an offer. And again, I'm not knocking other readers. Just have a slightly different perspective. It's a potential of an offer, right? It's not necessarily coming in, but it's there. It's in the background. And with the Hermit and the Death, I'm thinking some of us, whether we realize it or not, we needed to get away a little bit, and this is so weird. Last one. Two of Swords. Okay. Yeah, I'm thinking some of us had either a series of significant changes or you know, or one moment where something just changed all of a sudden and, you know, caused us to sort of say, well, shit, I had to think about this. You know, this is heavy. I'm definitely getting a little bit of heaviness here. Not in a bad way, but just in a meaty depth of something, you know? So, but I think it was necessary to go hermiting to really start thinking about this thing you want to rebuild. Could be a dream, could be could be some foundational corner of your life, but this is kind of looking to me like it may be a love or person reading. You know, we only have a single court card here, the Page of Wands. Now, with the Pentacles and the Swords, no, this is a personal development reading. There's actually nothing here at all to indicate its relationship, especially because we're starting with the Death card, right? Sorry guys, maybe can't see that so well. Yeah, especially starting with the Death card. So we have death in the past, we have the immediate present, the Hermit. We have the Ace of Pentacles as sort of the hidden influences, right, that brought the present moment. Now, up here, the Page, this is where the obstacles are. I want to point out that the obstacle card is actually at the top of this particular spread, which indicates to me it's kind of something that you already know about, probably subconscious, but some part of you that you already know and understand. I'm actually going to pull a clarifier for the Page because, so I'm getting two things, right? I'm getting that, so the Page of Wands is the fire, right? They are fast moving, kind of single threaded. They have their mission. They're going to deliver the news. They're going to do it as fast as possible. But sometimes the Page moves too fast, trips over their own feet. This young lady in the dress here may wind up setting herself on fire with all that energy. So a lot of times it represents a message, but I don't think this is exactly a message. I actually think that this is a person in your life, or perhaps a part of you that needs to be looked at. Some particular facet of your personality that you might need to rein in a little bit. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. All right, let's pull a clarifier because I'm struggling a little bit here. Sorry, I keep moving around the cards around, guys and girls. I gotta get a better mat for this. All right, can we get a clarifier for the Page of Wands, please? Just one. Say person, place, thing, animal, vegetable, mineral. Clarify the Page, please. Ace of Wands. Okay, yeah. This is definitely some form of self-growth, some form of a fresh start. And that actually would make a lot of sense, right? Because you've got a major change. You're looking inward. You're taking your time. You're saying, what is up? Like, am I living a good life for myself? Is this what I want? And it's showing that really there's some part of you that wants to rebuild a foundation. It's probably something personal. With the Ace and the Page and the Death card, I'm getting a very strong sense of, I don't want to say spiritual awakening, but something, right? There's some part of you that's waking up. Now, for those of you that consider yourselves to be more religious or spiritual, that's absolutely fine. This could be a deepening of your faith, a rediscovery of your faith, right? But the Ace of Wands is essentially kind of the driving force of creation in tarot, right? If if you believe that God said, "Let there be light," well, that was the Ace of Wands when God brought the universe into being, or whatever particular, mythology you ascribe to. So yeah, this is definitely this is a spiritual journey to improve your life, to reconnect with faith, reconnect with your higher self or your guides. Yeah, fill in the blanks to suit your particular belief system. Um, Notice how tall this ace is compared to the other buildings. It's heavenly, and um, it's look, fire is actually breaking the edge of the card, and it's pointing right up to the page. So yeah, that is definitely a resurgence, a renewal, or an inspiration. So what caused this? Well, we have the Five of Pentacles, all right? So this, I mean, I love all these cards, but this card's really cool, right? You've got a young boy and his pet, which kind of reminds me of the Fool, right? Slightly, you know, uh, someone in their young 20s with a pet dog going off on their journey. Um, the Five of Pentacles can be summarized as worry. Um, in this context, I don't really think it's financial worry. Um, I think we're going to go more towards family and social, and really it's kind of a card of being left out, which is how most people read it. Um, I find it interesting in this particular deck that even though maybe the five, there's an element about it that reminds me of the Hermit, right? It's one person, right? This young boy here, and he actually looks like he's just sitting on a rock taking a rest. You know, that kind of looks like the moon behind him. And like I said, remember with the Hermit actually walks through the gates of the underworld towards the moon. And yeah, so this this kind of, to me, voluntarily, not voluntarily, but really reinforces like a voluntary isolation, right? Um, you had this moment, you started really thinking about, what you're doing with yourself, how you want to make a change to your life. Um, maybe you feel that the right way to do that is to find your faith, or maybe just to find a creative spark. This doesn't have to strictly be something spiritual or woo-woo. Maybe you're an artist, maybe you're looking for inspiration. Maybe you've decided to pick up a new hobby. Maybe you've decided to cut yourself off and actually pursue a dream that people around you may not believe in or may not support you in. Yeah, that could really be something too. Definitely something that I resonate with. So the next two cards in the spread are going to be your suggested actions and the likely outcome if you follow this. And what I will do is I will pull maybe one or two cards for maybe some additional advice here, because that's a little final. But so far, I think I'm looking at a story of some personal growth, some some motivation to just live a better life. Like I said, maybe to chase a dream. I don't know, that aura around her head really makes me feel like an expanding spirit or an expanding outlook. Like the ace is just really just revving it up. And this five does not look lonely to me. This really makes me feel like someone who's just decided to extend their journey and to understand that loneliness is sometimes the price you pay for growth. Yeah. All right. So, Ten of Swords. This is really going to be interesting. So those of you who are familiar with tarot, pardon me for just 1 second. Sorry about that. So a lot of you that watch tarot probably know the Ten of Swords as a card of ruin, which is what it's called in some decks. It's a card of betrayal, backstabbing, sorrow, pain, really being pushed over your limit and kicked while you're down and all that kind of stuff. So who would volunteer to do that? Why is that suggested advice? It doesn't have to be. First, the moon again, right? A little further away, but it's there. Actually, in a weird way, because of the colors, this almost looks like a reflection of the moon on the water, right? So maybe he's actually sitting here, right? We can't see the swords behind him. Sorry, I know I'm getting a little weird. Anyway, I think what the message here is how can I say this the right way? Taking a stand, doing something that you feel is right for yourself, doing something that you feel is important to you and to your life is going to involve challenges. It's going to involve pain. You know that. That's the way that life is. There's very little worth doing that does not require sacrifice, that does not require challenging yourself. Growth is painful. Taking a stand in your life is painful. But if you are already this far into the journey, right? You've already sort of voluntarily turned your back on the people and things that you just don't want to deal with right now. Maybe even cut them off, right? If you truly feel this inspiration to build, then you know it's going to be difficult. You know it's going to be painful. But the 10 represents the completion of a cycle, right? It's the end of the suit of swords. And that means once you get past that, where you're back at the ace, right? You're back, your mind is clear, sharp, focused. So don't worry about the 10 so much. Don't worry about the ruin and the betrayal. Take this as a reminder that life is hectic, Growth hurts. Becoming a better person, living a better life, making better decisions, it can be really hard. It's going to be hard. But you already know that. You've seen it right here. So, take a deep breath. Know that it's going to hurt. Pain is transient, right? And the nice thing here is that in the probable outcome, if you follow the suggested advice, so steel yourself, right? Probable outcome is going to be this Two of Swords. Now, a lot of people see this as like a mini justice card, which it is. It can also be making a choice, which is a very common way to look at it as well. But in some traditions, the Two of Swords actually represents peace. It represents clarity of mind. Human beings are dualistic creatures, right? It's black, it's white, it's light, it's dark, it's off, it's on, etc. That's the way our mind works. Our mind cannot conceive of anything without understanding its opposite or its absence, right? It's why we learn to meditate. That's why we pray. That's why we engage in other spiritual practices. That might be why we exercise, to have that, that pinpoint moment where you just feel really inspired and in touch with everything. Swords are about the mind, about decisions, about action, but the Two of Swords represents mental peace. It represents clarity. Swords are active, and because they are so active and sharp, they are really, they need to be balanced within themselves, right? And these two are perfectly balanced. And the faceless, kind of faceless warrior that we have here looks very comfortable. She doesn't look scared. She doesn't look indecisive. She doesn't look confused. She looks like her mind is clear and she's going off to do some battle. So to me, this says you're going to find some peace of mind. Whatever it is that you're looking for here, right? Whatever it is that you're reaching to, you're going to find that if you can get through the pain, you can endure some of the loneliness, you can accept that some changes are necessary, you can actually find the peace and, frankly, the determination. That's what I'm seeing here, with just the way that she's standing, the way she's holding the swords, you know. This is one determined person. This is one determined Lady Justice stepping off her throne and getting ready to go chop some heads off if necessary, you know. So, I'm going to leave it there. I don't think we need too much more for clarification, but I think this is a good message. So, if any of you are making choices in your life, or you had a bad situation and you're maybe isolated yourself and you're kind of going, what do I do now? Like, what is next? Retreat, be honest with yourself, think about what's important to your life, think about the foundational things that you build yourself and your life on, and take the chance, right? That hint of inspiration that you're feeling, you should run with it, whatever it might be, Remember, pain is transient. Peace is worth looking for. And don't let people dictate how you live your life or what you choose to do to be happy, because we don't live our lives for other people. We live our lives for ourselves. So, all right. Thank you so much for your time and attention. I am grateful, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.